Immigration operations ramping up from coast to coast in America. Law enforcement working hard to remove scores of criminal illegal aliens from our city streets and having major success amid all this, like attacks on ICE agents. They're growing. So how is this impacting immigration operations, and what can be done to keep our brave agents safe? Here to discuss that all with me is Senior Advisor for U.S. Customs and Border Protection and former ICE Acting Director Ron Vitello. Also with us, former ICE Acting Director John Torres. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being with us on this Saturday morning. Ron, I want to start with you first. With President Trump back in office, more than 1.5 million illegal immigrants have voluntarily left the United States. However, attacks on ICE agents are up by 1,200%. How do you think this is impacting immigration enforcement? How do you square the two?
Well, it's something that needs to continue as it relates to the activity and the arrests that those agents are making. Cooperation with state and local law enforcement. You can see the example in New Orleans. You know, the state and locals are helping. The governor is in support of operations in the city. More of that needs to happen in states like Florida and Texas, where law enforcement officers are helping the immigration authorities make arrests, find people, and turn them over and put them on a path for removal. And then the Justice Department has stepped up in a big way. And so more consequences for those that get in the way of these officers doing their job, assault charges and convictions for people who put hands on ICE agents and officers. More of that needs to continue as well.
John, the same question to you. Obviously, this is a byproduct of the job. It comes with the job. These agents face dangerous conditions carrying out these enforcement actions, albeit with the success they're seeing.
Yeah, 100%. And good morning. Thanks for having me on. One thing I would add to what Ron is saying is that in addition to the fact that they have to continue making arrests, they're having to do it in the face of in many of those cities, violent protests. And as Ron says, putting hands on agents needs to have consequences. The Justice Department needs to prosecute them for obstruction of justice, for assault. They need to understand that that is not acceptable and it's against the law. So it makes the ICE agents' job tougher. And you see that. You know, that's one of the reasons why they're wearing masks, because they're being threatened regularly, and it's just not the agents who are trained to handle that, but they're talking about their families being threatened and being followed home from work. Those are all unacceptable, and it makes it a lot tougher to be an agent on the streets these days.
You know, Ron, you've led the agency before. What would your message be to ICE agents who are under attack each and every day? How do you keep the morale up?
Well, it's difficult in these cases. We're just going to encourage them. We're going to pray for them, and we're going to have them realize that this is an opportunity now. You know, we went through 4 years of chaos in the previous administration at the border and all over the country. And so these agents now know that the leadership of the department, the Oval Office, has got their back. They need to continue to do what they're doing. This is an opportunity to secure the border and make the homeland safer in a way that's never been available to them before.
Yeah, John, I want to focus now, though, on the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's become a flashpoint in this whole discussion. A federal judge just yesterday barred immigration authorities from re-detaining Abrego Garcia, the alleged human trafficker. This after the same judge ordered the Salvadoran illegal to be released from immigration detention on Thursday. John, where do you see this going? Why is Abrego Garcia the symbol of all of this?
He's the symbol of all this because initially he was deported back to El Salvador when there was a temporary restraining order, if you will. There was an action by a judge directing ICE not to send him back to El Salvador because potentially he could face violence from a rival gang because he's allegedly an MS-13 member. And so he now becomes the face where the open border advocates are trying to demonstrate that ICE makes mistakes here. But in reality, he had no status. He just couldn't be sent back to El Salvador. So what you see in these types of cases is the next steps are the government will appeal while ICE still continues to look for a place to send him back. They have to find another third country that will take him back. And under the current law, ICE can only detain him for up to 6 months unless it's signed off by the acting director or the current director at ICE. And if you can demonstrate that he's a public safety threat or a threat to flee. And so without those other factors, he gets released onto the street. And at some point, he'll continue the criminal case down in Tennessee for the alleged smuggling.
Okay, while we have you guys, this week, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, she was in a very fiery House hearing. She had this exchange with Mississippi Congressman Democrat Benny Thompson. Let's listen.
Gentleman from NCTC referenced the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
it was a terrorist attack.
Wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can
He shot our National Guardsman in the head.
So, Ron, poor choice of words there from the congressman.
Yeah, and she gave him a chance, obviously, to correct how he described that killing by a terrorist in our nation's capital, and he didn't take it. So the guy has absolutely no credibility, and she stood up not only for herself, but for the family of the soldier as well.
Yeah, John, last thoughts to you there about that exchange and the hearing overall.
Yeah, so who are we protecting here? I mean, they don't let ICE deport alleged human traffickers and gang members. They are calling terrorist attacks as unfortunate accidents. They are preventing ICE from making arrests and doing their jobs. They're attacking ICE agents and Border Patrol agents in the city when they're trying to enforce the law. I'm trying to figure out, well, who's really for public safety here other than the ICE agents in the Trump administration? And so it's really eye-opening when you see them say those types of things. At best, a mistake by saying it that way. But in reality, when you stack it all up, it looks like they're actually trying to protect the criminals and the terrorists.
Yeah, all right. John Torres there, Ron Vidello. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.